Hi everyone, welcome to RPA Explorers channel.
In today's video, we are going to look at one of the most useful connector, which is a key value pair connector. So let's understand what is this before we actually look into its method. So we can compare this key value pair with the dictionary what we have in our programming languages. So it's same that it holds two different types of data elements, which we call it as key and its value. So based on the key, you can get the values from the dictionary, and it can hold a data type. It can hold different data types as well. In order to understand it better, you can compare this with a normal vocabulary dictionary where we search for a word and we'll get the respective meanings, right? So the word which we search can be your actual key, and the definition or the meaning what we get is the value. Same that your keys are always should be unique. So now I hope you all got a basic idea of this key value pair. So now let's go to the studio and understand its different methods. Now we are in the studio. The very first step is to add your connector. So I can go to the global object and right click on this, then search for key value pair. Then you can click this and you can add connector. I have already added mine, so I'm going to double click on this to view its method. And we have different methods, so in order to understand its method, I'm going to use a sample Excel. So now let's look at the Excel. So this is the Excel, which is key value pair, where it has only one sheet and it has two different columns, name and locations. Okay, so what we are going to do is that we are going to consider the column A as key and column B as its value. So we are going to get the value based on the key, which is based on the column A. So now let's see how you can implement this. Step is to read the Excel, so we should have a separate connector for this. So I have a key value pair Excel connector. I'm going to use the open method, so we can drag and drop this open method and we should pass the path now. So the next step is to loop through the Excel, for which I'm going to use read sheet and then we'll loop through it. We are in sheet 1, so can use sheet 1. So in order to loop through, you have to go to the toolbox and search for loop. So we have different things and I'm going to use for each. So we'll pass the data table to the collection input, and then we have to use this list. I'm going to use this get list item and we have to pass to this instance. Then when you click on this setting icon at the top, there will be an option to add your index. So currently we have two index, which is this is the 0 index and this is the index number 1. So we are going to have two index 0 and 1, and I'm going to click on OK. And currently this is of type object, so the dictionary what we are going to create will be of type object and object. So now you can go to the key value pair connector. Let's look at its different method. So now let's start with add method, because we are going to add it for the very first time, right? So currently our dictionary is empty, so let's add it. So as we mentioned, column A is your key and column B is your value, so I'm going to add this now. So now let's run only this part. So I'm going to right click on this run. So now that it has executed without any issues, so in the dictionary we have all the values from an Excel. Let's look at the second method, like how you can get specific value, right? So I'm going to use this get items at the end of the for loop, because I'm going to get the the values have been added into the Excel. So let's go to the Excel and I'm going to randomly pick this key, which is Emily Smith. So what you have to do is you just have to double click on this and you can provide your key value, your key. Then let's display the output. So I'm going to use show from box and then we'll pass the output. So now let's see the output. I'm going to run from here. Now we got the output, which is London, United Kingdom. Based on the key we got its value, right? So this is how you can use this get item to get the respective value. When you look at this get item method, you have an option to add only one key, right? What if you are trying to get the n number of values within one activity? So if you go to your methods, you have get items, pop it over here, and when you click on this you can see an option to add multiple keys. So let's try adding three different keys. So before which I'll show a quick error here. So like I have same keys here, so I'll try to click on OK. And if you see, we are trying to add duplicate keys, right? So that's why we have this error. So make sure you're not providing any duplicate keys here. I'm going to click on OK now. So now let's try to display this output, okay? For which I'm going to use message box show. Like you have to use two different message box to show this, or what you can do is you can create a separate variable, then you can just tag the output of the key to the specific variable. Like you just have to double click on this and you have to select your variable, okay? You can use this get items or get item method to get the specific value based on the given key. So now let's look at the next method. What I'm going to do is that after adding the items into the queue, now let's see the count of key value pairs in the dictionary. So what we can do is we have to pass this. Okay, so I'm going to start from here. And also one more thing, since we are opening the Excel, make sure you're closing it. If not, you can see n number of Excel instance being opened. So I'm going to go to the key value pair connector, and then you can just close the Excel method. So where I'm going to close is I'm going to close at the end of the for loop. Okay, now let's run this. So it has added it and it also printed its count, which is 11 now. So now we have 12 rows, excluding the header we have 11, right? Also if you notice, we have an empty row, right? So it means that you have some empty key and you have some empty value. It is also considering the empty values, right? It's like getting 11. So let's click on OK. Now let's try to add one more empty row and let's see what is the output. So earlier we had 11, now let's see the output. So let's look at the error. If you see, we are getting a duplicate key error. Even though we don't have any value, make sure you are not having any empty rows, okay? So what I'm going to do is that before adding the items into the queue, I'm going to delete any empty rows if present in the Excel. So you can go to the Excel key value pair connector and then you can type for delete method. Then you have a method, right, which is delete empty rows. Delete it after we open it. So let's provide the sheet name. So now after deleting, let's look at its count, okay? I'm going to run from here. So now if you see its method, what we have is 10. So let's go back to the Excel and see. So it has removed the two empty rows, and total we have 11 column, excluding the header we have 10 key values pair, and we have the expected output now. So I'm going to click on OK now. Now the next method, which is delete, so we'll drag and drop the delete method. So this delete method, like for example, in case you have some specific keys in the dictionary and you don't want this when you add this, like what you can do is before adding into is you can delete it. So in order to use this method, let's pass this here and then we'll output here. Try to delete this key from an Excel. So you have to provide it the key, and the end again will print the count. Earlier it was 10 and now it is 9. So let's go back to the Excel and see. If you look at the Excel, we still have this key, right? So let's complete the bot and see why it is happening. Actually, I'm going to click on OK. In the actual Excel, you can still see the deleted key. The reason is that we are not deleting it from the Excel, we are deleting it from the actual dictionary. So when you print the count, you can see 9, right? It means that in dictionary we don't have the deleted key value pair. So you cannot see that in the Excel because we are not doing anything in the Excel. All what we are doing is completely on the added dictionary, right? Like you cannot see the dictionary, but you can imagine that it has a key and value and it has deleted it, and hence we have the total count as 9 now. So you can use this delete method. So let's imagine another scenario where you are trying to delete a key which is not already existing in the Excel or in the dictionary. Going to give some random key and let's see, like I'll give key, so which is not existing in the Excel, right? So maybe key name, then we'll click on OK. I'm going to run from here. So if you see, we have the count 10. It means that it's not existing in the Excel and we don't have an error. So only if the given key is existing, it will delete the key from the dictionary, and then you can see the actual output. If not, it won't even bother about it. It can actually print you the actual output value. So I'm going to click on OK. Now let's look at the next method. So where we have get items by index. So let's drag and drop this. So on this, okay, so here we have an option to add the index, right? So as the name indicates, get items by index. So earlier we have seen get item and get items, where we have given the key to get the value. So here, instead of providing your key, what you can do is you can give your index to the index and you can get the value. So let's assume that you have some dictionary and you know that you want to get the fifth element, but you are not sure about what is the key name. Then you can make use of this get items by index. So I'm going to use 0 and 5 random number and click on OK. So now let's print them. I'm just going to remove this delete method. So we'll connect back to this. So now let's run. And also we should close the Excel. I'm going to close this. Okay, so we are printing the 0 index, right? So let's go to the Excel. So the 0 index, which is your first key, and it has printed the first values as well. So you can make use of this get items by index when you are adding values into your dictionary based on the index number. Like you can loop through some Excel and you can add it. So that's when you can use this get items by index. Next method, which is parse from text. So as I mentioned earlier, for this demo I have used an Excel to add items to the dictionary, right? So there are multiple ways to add items to your dictionary. You can go to your toolbox and you can search for text, the text, right? Like you have to provide your file path, and then this string you can pass it to this specific input parameter of parse from text. For this example, I'm not going to use any external text file. Rather, I'm going to transform some text data directly to the key value pair method. So let me show you the text. So you can have any text, and that the only thing is it should have some common separator for your key and value. That's it. For here, I'm using the colon for your key and the value, and comma for differentiating one pair with another pair. Okay, so I have some title which will give you the title and the author, and I have some recipes. So what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to copy. It's not just you have to use only colon or comma, you can have any separator. Okay, that's not necessary. I'm just going to right click on this and you can transform data. You can enable this. So now I'm going to click on OK. Okay, we are missing a quotes here. This semicolon, so we have the same, and the item separator, which is comma here, so we should change that. So you can right click on this, you can click on port properties, then you will be in the static, then you can change it. So line, tab or comma, and in my case I'm using comma, so I'm going to click on OK. And also you can see if you want to clear before you parse. Let's assume that in the dictionary already you have some value and you want to clear the dictionary before you parse it, then you just have to right click on this and you have to enable it to true. So right now I'm not going to clear it, I'm just directly going to add in my old dictionary itself. We are going to pass the output of the add method directly to the parse from text, and now let's see the complete count in the dictionary. Okay, so we have passed this, and in our we pass end of the loop to the count. So let's run this now. So earlier we had 9, now the count is 13, right? So let's go back to the Excel and see the count. So in Excel we have 10, and in the pass from text we have 3, right? So that's why the output is 13. So now let's make this parameter to true, that is clear before we parse it, and let's see the output. So what you can do is you just have to double click on this and true, make it true. So let's see what we get. So if you see the current output, which is 3, so because we are clearing the dictionary before we parse it, that's how you can use this method. Okay, the next method, which is reverse, so let's take this. So as the name indicate, it will reverse the dictionary. For example, the 0 index, after reversing you can find it in the end of the index. So just to understand it better, I'm going to reverse it after I add it. Let's print the value before we reverse it, and also we'll print the value after we reverse it. Okay, so what we can do is we can use this get items by index method again. So I'm going to take this get items by index, and we'll print it first, and then we'll print in the index number 2 randomly. And after reversing, we'll again print the same. So maybe I'm just going to that, and also we should print it at the end, right? So I'm just okay. Okay, so now let's see. So like it will add the value, and after adding it I am printing the second index, and after reversing again I am printing it. So I'm just going to put a breakpoint so that I can stop it, run from here. So we are printing the second index, is this Tokyo, Japan, right? Oh, so this is what we got. I'm going to click on OK now. So I'm going to click on move next. So now let's see the output. So this is after reverse. So after reversing, um, like this will the first index, and the 0 index first index and second index, right? So after reversing, the index positions are changed and we got the exact output. I'm going to stop this again. This method, which is set data, and it has one input parameter, that is data. As the name suggests, it is used to set data into your dictionary. For example, you can have n number of key values pair which you can set into your dictionary. So now let's see how you can provide the input data. So when you right click on this, there is called transform data. So I'm going to transform my data through the scripting. Okay, so I'm just going to, so in which I have a dictionary variable of type string and object, then I am adding 4 different key values pair into my dictionary, and then I'm returning my dictionary. So in this way all the 4 key values pair will be added to my dictionary automatically with this set data method. So now I'll click on OK. So now we have the data into it. The next step is to print the data. Okay, let's run the set data, and in order to run this set data, we are not going to use any Excel, because all data what we are passing, it comes from the transform data, right? So we no need to use any Excel activities here. So what I can do is I'm going to directly run from here, and just to see the count, I am going to connect the output of this directly to the count connector. So now you can right click on this and you can run from here. So now if you see, the count is 4. And also what you can do is, for example, you have some data which is coming from an Excel or from other source, and also you want to set some data manually, then you can pass your add or this add connector into your set data, and then you can print the count. So this is about this set data method. And now let's take a look at the next method, which is set item. So as we have get item, get items, we also have set item and set items. So it is same as the get method, where you can just provide your key and value which will set an item into your dictionary. For example, I will use some random key. Let's say provide the value. Since it is of type object, you cannot directly provide any static value, so I'm going to transform the data. So let's give value 1, and we'll, so now let's try to set this item after the add method, and then at the end we'll print the count. So I'm going to add this after an add method. Okay, so and then we'll add this to the set item, and at the end we'll print the count. So I'm going to connect that from here. Okay, so in the total count in the file it was 10, and now we have 11, which comes from the set item. So if you see, we have 10 rows and one row which comes from this set item. So coming to this set items method, when you click on the settings, you can provide your key, and then you have to provide your value. For example, let me give key 2, and here I'll give key 3. So let's use only these two, and this is of type object, right? So in order to provide your values, just you can transform it. Let's click on OK. So now we'll print. Earlier we had 11 items, so I'm going to add the set item to the set items, and let's print the count now. Yeah. So earlier we had 11, right? So now set items we are adding two different keys, so we have 13 now. And in order to print the values, then you can use this get item. With the help of key, you can get your value. So now let's take a look at the next method, which is set items by index. As we get the items by index, you can set your items by index. For example, you have 10 items into your dictionary and you wanted to add some new key into the fifth index, then you can just go with this. For example, when you click on this, you have to provide your index. So I'll give my index here. So I'll give 0, and when you give 0, you have to provide your values here, right? So I'm just going to okay, so let me give index something. Then I'm going to this, and if you see, what we have got is from the set items by index, because we are overwriting the values in the existing dictionary, and hence we have the value which is 0. So now let's click on OK, and in this way you can either update your existing value, or you can even add some new index and you can provide your value. This is about this set items by index. So let's take the next method, which is to JSON. Name suggests it will convert your dictionary into your JSON format. For example, we'll use the old just components as well, where we are adding the values from the dictionary, and at the end we'll try to print it in the JSON format. So what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to add it in the end of the for loop, and then we'll use the message box. So let's see what we are getting. And if you see, the output what we got is from the Excel, and with this set item, and it it converted everything into the JSON format. So this is the JSON format, which, and in case you're working with queues in RPA hub, where there is an option to add items to the queue in JSON format, in that case you can make use of this to JSON. If you have some Excel and you want to add some items into the dictionary, then you can go with this method. This is about this to JSON. And the next, as the name suggests, it will convert your string to your dictionary into the string format. It is same as this JSON, and you can see the output in the text. So let's print it. Okay, so first let's run from here, and if you see, now what we got is in the text format. And also, if you remember, we have another method which is parse from text, and also you can just pass this value to the input of the parse from text, where the item separator is this, and the line separator is new line. So in that way you can make use of this. This is about this two text, and we are left with two methods, which is contains key and then contains value. So as the name suggests, it will validate if it contains the given key or value, and the output of these two method is a boolean. So based on activity output, you can make a decision. For example, you have certain dictionaries, certain items into your dictionary. Before you add your new item, you wanted to make sure that you have the specific keys in the dictionary or values in the dictionary, then you can go with this activity. Providing your key here, you can get the output. So for example, decision. So let's provide some random key from the dictionary. So I'll take this and will give this. I'm going to validate if it is in the dictionary or not. If it is there, then we'll have to make some decision, or we have to do certain things going forward, right? So the way to use your decision is you just have to double click on this, and you have to provide any string value. So like whatever it is, you just to identify it, you have to give some string value. So let's see, this key is contains key, then you can just enter. So when you enter is, you can see a connector is, the parameter which will get added based on the string you give. So this is of type boolean. Again, you just have to pass this. Okay, so what you can do is at the end you can add this. So if it is there, I'm going to delete it. Assume that if this is present, I'm going to delete it. So I'll use delete in the true port. It has true and false. I'm going to provide a static value for now. So let's run this. Since we have that key, it is going into the to port and it will delete the value. So maybe after deleting it, you can print the count to see the actual output. Okay, that way you will get to know the usage of contains key. So this is just a simple case where you can make use of this delete component, but in real time you may have different scenarios. For example, you have this key, you want to set an item or you want to update a value, so you can do that here. Like you can use the set item to set the values once you have the key in the dictionary. Okay, and in the same way, contains values also work, where you have to use a decision activity, then you can do whatever things you want. Like either you can delete it, or you can get the items, or you can just add a new value, or you want to clear the value. So whatever things you want to do, you can do with this. I think we have covered every methods from the key value pair connectors, and also I believe that at least you people got an idea about each and every methods here. In case you have any doubts or anything, please let me know in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching this video.